A great philosopher by the name of Wayland made a statement. He said, "To remain ignorant is to remain a slave." Well, ignorance is a funny thing. Tian of Siam, in her book Quam, and I recommend you all get a copy of that, it's got a lot of truth in it, said that man will fight to the death to protect his most precious possession, his ignorance. That's usually the truth. Man is a funny individual. A man will want to believe something because it's presented to him by someone he respects, admires, or supposedly has a better education or a good of education. But the truth is, and it may hurt, that we don't know a lot. We don't know a lot about the past because most of the past, we'll call it from the Dark Ages, has been destroyed. For instance, I covered a little bit about old Constantine. You got to remember when that happened about 347 AD, between 347 and 367, why, Rome was in a bad shape. They had the Christophorus in the, which were the original Christians, you might say, in the east, and then in the west, they had the Hessionites, and the pagans, and everybody was fighting for power. Constantine took over the Caesar's position, you might say, the position of political power. But he knew that religion was becoming a big thing. It's kind of the way it is today, isn't it? Religion's getting to be a bigger and bigger thing. We're afraid to, some people are afraid, I better say, afraid to talk about Islam because if you say the wrong word, why, you're going to get killed. Just recently I read in the paper, and then again I saw the news report on this, a woman and her 2 young children were stoned to death by a mob. Why? They were Muslim. Why would they kill them? She wasn't a prostitute. She didn't do anything wrong. She was very pious. Why do you think they did that? Well, I'll tell you why they did it. Because she was what they called an advanced Muslim. She believed that there was more than one prophet. The old line Muslims, they believed that Muhammad was the prophet of God and the only one. I mean, that is a problem right there. They believed Jesus was a nice old boy, all right, and his teachings had a lot of love in it. Maybe I ought to go back and trace back how all that started. Well, here this gal is, she's a Muslim, and they stoned her to death, not because she said anything that was blasphemous, or because she did anything that was unsacred to the Islamic thing. It was simply because she believed and looked on other prophets. Well, you can't have religious freedom and be religious, can you? It's kind of the way it is here too when you think about it. How many people do you know that are constantly trying to save you or convert you or take you back to the roots, which they say is Catholicism? When I get into what Catholicism is, I know a lot of you are going to be shocked. A lot of you won't understand it. Let's go back to Constantine, the father of Catholicism. He started it because he knew that he had to pull together those religions. He had to get them under one banner. Catered a little to this one, then he catered a little to that one, and then pretty soon he got it all together the way he wanted it, and he mixed politics and religion and saved the Roman Empire when he took over the seat of the Caesars. I've told you about Constantine. He wasn't the greatest, most moral person in the world. If you read about those parts of history are covered. But the original writings, those things had to be destroyed. As late as 1474, around the invention of the printing press, the head bishop of the English Catholic Church said that they had to destroy that invention, the printing press, or it might just destroy them. Well, that's coming to pass. Do you realize that that's probably the biggest reason that people are leaving the churches and getting away from organized religion? Is because they've learned to read, and they can understand and read between the lines. They know there's more to this. You look at the Bible. I had an old boy just yesterday say to me that the trouble with me is I didn't believe in the King James Version of the Bible, which is the only good version. It's the Word of God. Well, not hardly. They say that God told them what to write, told them what to do, and they scribed it down. Well, let me tell you, if God's God, He don't need no help. But you see, a lot of that is history, and if you know anything about history, you know that the person writing it slants it more to the history of who they're writing about, that they want to be the good guys. And a lot of it is about law. Oh my goodness, a lot's about law and what you should and shouldn't do. Jesus kind of corrected that, didn't he? He come in there and he said, there's only one law, and that's to love your neighbor as yourself. And the first law is like unto it, and the second law is like unto it, meaning love yourself, love your neighbor, and do no harm. Do what's right. Do what's right. What is right? Well, right is love. That's what they all talk about. Buddha, Krishna, all the great leaders talked about love. That's what we need. Unadulterated, unlustful love. The kind of love that a mother has for the child, the kind of love that we have for the greater things in life and for ourselves. And that's what this is all about. And that's what I'm trying to get you to do. Think for yourself, learn these things, and go on. Now, I've had other people ask me, why don't I put all this in a book form so they can read it? Well, I will. I'll do it. I'll put it in there, and if you want it, all you got to do is ask for it. I don't know how long it'll take me, but it shouldn't be too big of a book. A few hundred pages should cover the whole thing. And then you'll know where I get my information, other than what comes from within, and a lot of it does. And with that, I'll say God bless you and thank you for letting me share a little of the little that I know with you. And I'll talk to you again next week.